Yes, sir. Guess who's back? Another day of economics. Today, you have Coach Watkins, aka Coach White, and I'm going to teach you about economic growth through productivity. All right, so pay attention. What is productivity? Productivity in economics is a measure of output per unit of input, such as labor, capital, or any other resource, and is typically calculated for the economy as a whole as a ratio of gross domestic product, aka GDP, to hours worked. So in English, that's basically saying productivity is how much are you getting out of the work that you're putting in, right? Whether it's labor, capital. If I'm giving you 30 acres of land, how active are you going to be on those 30 acres of land, right? If I'm giving you 5 hours of work, how many products am I giving you, or how much action am I giving you in those 5 hours, right? That's productivity. Labor productivity may further be broken down by sector to examine trends in labor growth, wage levels, and technological improvement. All right, labor growth. How much more work can you do? All right, in a 40-hour week, how much are you going to do? Wage levels. How much are we going to pay them for the work that they're doing within those hours? And last but not least, technological improvements. Just like a smart board, since I'm no longer using a projector or a whiteboard, how much more productive can I be now that I have a smart board that could just show my PowerPoint in front of you guys, and all I have to do is tap to move forward, right? That's productivity. So let's move on forward. Oh, corporate profits and shareholders' returns are directly linked to productivity growth. The more productive you are with your capital, labor, and investments, the more productive your company is going to be, and more profitable your company is going to be. And the more profitable your company is, the more people want to invest, all right? That's a business market. Next. All right, understanding productivity. Productivity is a key source of economic growth and competitiveness, okay? A country's ability to improve its standard of living depends almost entirely on its ability to raise its output per worker. So, standard of living, right, is basically saying, what do you need to survive? So some people might say, hey, I don't need a car to survive, right? I don't need a roof over my head to survive. All I need is an apple. While us, or most of us, we're gonna say, hey, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to need a car. That's a standard of living. So the more productive you are, or the more productive your area is, the more your standard of living is going to change. If you're living in a neighborhood that has nobody with cars, then you're not going to think a standard of living, or your standard of living needs a car. But if you're living in a neighborhood where everyone has a car, now your standard of living is to get a car, because you see how productive those people could be when they could drive to their locations instead of you walking or riding your bike, right? So the more money you make, the more productive your neighborhood is, your economy is, your job is, the more things come to you, all right? It's just like in school. The more productive you are, the better your grades, right? Productivity is never a bad thing. Let's keep going. Labor productivity. The most commonly reported productivity measure is labor productivity. This is based on the ratio of GDP to total hours worked in the economy. So your GDP, aka the worth of your country, all right, they're going to use that versus the total hours worked in the labor force, and that's going to let us know how our labor productivity is, okay? So we're this successful in our country because of our GDP. Now, how much of that was because of the labor or the productivity hours that our employed people put in, right? That's labor productivity. Capital deepening is part of labor productivity. It increases the amount of capital available to each worker. So if I made all of you guys take a test and I have 20 students, but I only give 10 of you a calculator, those 10 should probably do better than the 10 without it, right? But if I was to practice capital deepening, that would give everybody a calculator. And now we all could be productive, right? Capital, the tools that you use to achieve labor and to be productive, all right? So capital deepening basically means I'm increasing how much capital I'm giving to my employees, all right? Labor composition, the education and experience of the workforce. So again, I would like for all my employees to be as experienced and educated as possible. Because if you're smarter, usually you work faster, right? You work harder, but also easier. And if you're experienced, that means that you went through a lot of the things that you're gonna go through already, so you're prepared, okay? The first time you cooked the egg, right? You probably weren't that prepared. You might have burned yourself, you might have not burned yourself, but now you're cooking the egg for the 50th time, you know how things work, right? The first time you handling a calculator or you grabbed something on a graphing calculator, you probably didn't know what was going on and you needed help. But after your 50th time or your 6th year using that same graphing calculator, you could graph in your sleep now, right? So we would love to have the most educated and experienced workers possible. And last but not least, multi-factor productivity growth, improvements in technology. But we will get deeper into that when we go to the technology slide, all right? And that is going to be a different video. But this is labor productivity. Now, the Solow effect. The Solow effect, which is usually referred to as the total factor productivity. It measures the portion of the economy's output of growth that cannot be attributed by capital or labor. All right. It is interpreted as a contribution of economic growth made by managerial, technological, strategic, and financial innovations. All right. So this means that you have used your labor and capital to the max. So what's the next step of productivity growth? Think about managerial. If you have a manager, right, that isn't just like, hey, shut up and go work. Shut up and do this. Shut up and do that. If you have a manager that could properly lead your employees, right, I can motivate you to do that work. I can motivate you to get up and come on time and reward you properly. That is managerial. So I will be able to make you work harder if I can motivate you to work harder, right? I don't know how many of you guys have the job where you had a bad manager, but compare that job to whether you had a good manager, and I guarantee you'll be more willing to work, right? You feel like, you know what? It's just like being in a class with a teacher that you like. It's much easier to do an assignment with a teacher that you like than it is to do with a teacher that you don't like. Either way, you should do the assignment though. But also another step, technological, right? It is much easier for you to write notes if I give you paper and a pencil or a pen, right? But what if we went back in the day before that technology came to our people and I had to give you a ground and a rock to scrape those notes, right? It'll be a little bit harder. So it doesn't matter about your labor and capital. This is now new technology that I'm gonna give you, and it's gonna help you be more productive. And strategic, okay? If I told you, hey, can you make these go in alphabetical order and then make you or have you do that every single day? Hey, new papers, put in alphabetical order. New papers, put in alphabetical order. And then one day I say, you know what? Why don't I give you some software or a program that'll automatically put it in order for you, right? Put it on a spreadsheet, put it on a Google Doc, and it'll automatically put it in alphabetical order for you. That's gonna save up a lot of time for you to be more productive, right? That is what the Solow residual is all about. Being more proactive. You have all the capital and labor that you need already. Now what are you gonna do to lead your employees to be better, to be more productive, okay? And last but not least, we have productivity and investment. So after the residual effect and labor and capital, right, we have investment. So when productivity fails to grow significantly, it limits potential gains in wages, corporate profits, and living standards, right? So investment is the next step. So again, you're already successful, right? You have your good managers, you have your wages right, you have your corporate profits right, but yeah, you don't want to be complacent. You want to continue to grow. You want to continue to be productive, right? Next step is to properly invest your money, all right? Most of the millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires that you always hear about, they don't make most of their money through salary. They make most of their money through investments. They invest in their own companies and they invest in other big companies, and they sit down and let their money make money for them, all right? So investments in the economy is equal to the level of savings because investment has to be financed from savings. So if you guys remember in the beginning of the year, we talked about a savings account and we talked about investing, all right? Savings account is for emergencies, but once you have enough savings, right? Not your life savings, not your emergency savings, but you have a group of or a quantity of money sitting around, go ahead and invest it. Let that money build money for you, okay? Your savings account, your emergency savings account is already building interest. Now use this other amount of money to invest and hope that that investment could continue to grow money on top of your money, all right? Low saving rates can lead to lower investment rates and lower growth rates for labor, productivity, and real wages. So we would love for all you young people to start saving more. Because the more you save means the more money you're gonna have later on in the future, so that you can now invest and make our companies better, okay? It might be a company that you truly love and you truly like, and you're gonna give it a chance to make it better. The people before us invested their money in Amazon, and now look where Amazon is right in front of our eyes, okay? Investments is a real thing. This is why it is feared that low saving rates in the United States could hurt productivity growth in the future. So if my generation stops saving and your generation stops saving, how can companies grow? They can't. All right, so savings accounts are more important than you guys could ever know. But that is it for today. We're gonna jump to the next growth slide. Please go watch that video too. It's been Coach Y. Bye.